Hi, hello everyone. Welcome to our webinar. We are glad you can join us today. My name is Adam Bernas, and I'll be your host for today's session. Let's wait maybe about 2 minutes for people to join, and then we will kick off. We have a Tuesday morning, it's 10 a.m. The weather is perfect here in Warsaw. I'm not sure how it's about your locations, but that's the time slot for me it used to be a time slot for me to drive our coffee now sessions that were taking place within last year. We'll get back with this formula quite soon, so you are already invited. While we wait for a few more people to join, let me check. Yeah, you are connecting, perfect. While we wait for a few more people to join, I have a question. How many of you have attended our webinars before? Can you drop an info to the chat or maybe a thumbs up so that we know if you already know us or that's your first time? Hi guys, hello. Okay. So I can see we have new people and I can see that we have regulars, perfect. All right. Looks like we have a good group to kick off. We have a fantastic session lined up for today. We'll be talking about contracts and ICT third-party risk management in finance, of course, from the perspective of DORA regulation. If you have questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A section, and we'll address them towards the end of our meeting. Just to confirm, please let me know if you can see us. I suppose you can hear us as I can see comments, but just I wanted to make sure if technicalities are all set correctly. Okay, perfect. So let's officially start. I'm excited to invite you to our webinar on contract and ICT third-party risk management in finance, adapting to DORA. Let's explore the latest strategies, the best practices for managing risk in finance sector. Whether you are dealing with contracts or third-party ICT vendors, this session is to equip you with the valuable insights to protect your business. So without further ado, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Adam Bernas. I'm a CPO here at Spock. I'm also a ServiceNow certified master architect, working with the platform and working with company for more than 14 years. I'm mainly focused on advisory activities. Together with me, we have Krzysztof and Paweł, our SMEs. So guys, let's introduce yourself. Chris. Oh, you are muted, Chris.
Hello, everyone. I'm Krzysztof Patek here. I'm a ServiceNow solution consultant. On a daily basis, I advise and adapt ServiceNow products in order to solve our customers' challenges. Although the platform consists of many products from SPM, ITSM, recently my work is focused mainly on ServiceNow products that support achieving operational resilience in organizations, so mainly around risk management. And that's what we will be focusing on today. Over to you, Paweł.
Yes, welcome everybody. My name is Paweł Rogowski. I am a consultant working for Spot, and today I will be giving you a short presentation on the ServiceNow functionality related to the DORA requirements. So welcome, everybody.
Perfect. Nice to have you here, guys. And before we move on, here is the agenda of how we would like to drive this session. It's all about common challenges that organizations are facing. And the reason for covering contracts and ICT third-party risk management is simply due to the fact that when we speak with our customers or potential customers about DORA and ServiceNow platform capabilities that can help financial institutions to meet those regulations, two of the topics that they are most interested in refers to contracts and third-party risk management. That usually starts the DORA discussion for us. So this is the reason why we've decided to cover those domains during today's session. Again, we encourage you to engage with us by asking questions and sharing your thoughts throughout the session. You have chat, you can use LinkedIn, YouTube. We will be more than welcome to engage with you. Okay, so let's briefly set the scene. On the 17th of January 25, so I would say it's quite soon, the DORA legislation will come into force. This regulation will impact all financial institutions operating in EU, and IT departments are crucial to comply with DORA regulation before this enforcement starts. So DORA, the Digital Operational Resilience Act, is the EU answer to cyber challenges. It is basically a piece of EU legislation that creates a common regulatory framework across the EU for digital operational resilience within financial sector. And what operational resilience is, I like the definition that this is the ability of an organization to continue to serve its customers, deliver products and services, and protects their workforce in face of adverse operational events by anticipating, preventing, recovering from, and adapting to such events. And if you will look into this slide, there are 5 main pillars of DORA, right? We have ICT risk management, we have ICT incident reporting, we have digital operational resilience testing, we have ICT third-party risk management that we will be mostly focusing on today, and we have information and intelligence sharing. And for all of, or maybe each of those pillars, ServiceNow platform offers a native solutions. We call them applications, right, to address DORA assumptions. So for ICT risk management, we have integrated risk management suite of applications, and we have business continuity management app. For ICT incident reporting, we have IT service management suite of application. We have security operations suite of application. We have security incident response. And again, we have IRM. For digital operational resilience testing, we have security operation. We have vulnerabilities app. And again, we have business continuity management. For ICT third-party risk management, there is again an IRM, but also third-party risk management. And for information and intelligence sharing, we have IRM, we have customer communication management, and we have third-party and vendor risk management apps. What's really important, guys, is that underneath all of those solutions, ServiceNow offers really robust CMDB capabilities with a consistent single data model so that everything is supported by a common source of truth. And CMDB is definitely crucial here, but we've already been discussing this on previous sessions, so I will stop with CMDB right now. Let's focus on contracts and vendor risk management. To summarize, ServiceNow provides a comprehensive solution to DORA. So to bring us the first point of today, the contracts, Paweł, let me ask you, what are the key requirements of DORA related to ICT and third-party contracts management? How the platform can help? How does this look like?
Okay, thank you very much, Adam. When it comes to the contract management in the relation to the DORA requirements, first things first, we need a place where we are keeping all the data related to our contract. So of course, ServiceNow can provide us, but this is not all. Of course, we don't want to have just a silo where we are keeping all our data. There are also requirements when it comes to signing the contract. So if this is a new contract related to the ICT provider, which is supporting our core functionalities, our core services, then there is a due diligence process which is required before even signing the contract. And the same applies to the termination of the contract. There are special requirements for this as well. So here, first things first, we need to manage the contract, not only storing it in one location, but also making sure that we are up to the date, we are diligent with all the requirements from the DORA. So this is one thing. The other thing is managing the contract throughout its life cycle. So we need to make certain that there are people assigned as who are responsible for managing such contracts. We need to make sure that there are processes in place that would help us to run it. And thankfully, all this can be done thanks to the ServiceNow. So we'll start with a little discussion about the functionality of the contract management in the ServiceNow. First things first, we are able to store the information about our contracts in the ServiceNow. So when it comes to the information we can have, it's of course the basic information like contract number, contract start date, end date, terms and conditions, so things that we can have in most of the system. What's special about the ServiceNow is that thanks to the single data model, we are able to connect those information to different places in ServiceNow, including the CMDB. So we are able to connect our contracts to the specific CIs, configuration items, which are supporting our core services. Thanks to this, from the CMDB, we will know exactly which contractors, which vendors are responsible for supporting a service which is critical from our standpoint. So this is something that we can do in the ServiceNow out of the box, since this is like one platform, one system of the information, and this is very easy and very user-friendly to go on with. Other than this, other than just storing the information and having the wide variety of this information, we have also workflows to help us to work with those contracts. So there are workflows for contract renewal. Whenever there is a contract which is about to be terminated, we can decide if we want to renew it or not. There is a special workflow for this that we can set up in front, making sure that this process will go exactly as it should be going, making sure that there is no misunderstandings. And of course, there's a possibility to manage the contract throughout its whole life cycle. So there are also special tools which would help us to manage the contract throughout its life cycle and help us to keep everything in healthy environment. Yeah, so let's talk about the life cycle itself. So when it comes to the contract life cycle, of course, the standard approach from the ServiceNow, we can have four main contract states: draft, active, expired, and cancel. And for draft and active, we have some sub-states depending on the state of the contract. So for the draft, we have awaiting review, under review, approved, rejected. So here, of course, whenever we are trying to sign the new contract, we have the control and we have proper people checking if the contract, if we even should go with the contract, if we are diligent with all the DORA requirements. The same applies to the active contract, because of course, if the contract is active, this might change. There might be some operations needing performing on this contract. So things we can do is of course renewal options like approved, rejected, in process, basically making sure that we are never late with the contract renewal and we are ready to renew it whenever the date is due. We have also additional options for extending the already existing contract. So here, depending on what we want to do and how we would like to behave with the contract, here with the functionality to do it. So this is the basic information about the contracts. Of course, the main functionality here is ability to also connect it to different places. Now I will hand over the floor to Chris, who will show you how this looks like in the ServiceNow, and later on we will also expand this information for the third-party risk. So, Chris, the stage is yours now.
All right, thank you, Paweł. So yeah, contracts. From the initial discussions we've had with our customers, we came up with a couple of challenges, as my colleagues mentioned. One of them would be around contract, of course, would be the challenge of keeping the register of information and how to collect information, update it, and minimize the workload around contracts. So basically, in accordance with the requirements, mainly like Article 28 of DORA, financial entities, as you know, are required to maintain and update the register of information at various organizational levels, basically covering all contracts relating to the use of ICT services, right? So this requirement highlights the importance of a thorough documentation and contract differentiation, with particular emphasis on those covering ICT services supporting critical and important functions. This, in turn, results in the requirement for regular reporting. So basically, financial entities are obliged to report annually, for example, to the competent bodies, things like the number of new contracts for the use of ICT services, the category of ICT providers, which I will explain later on, and, for example, the type of contracts and services and functions that are provided. So basically, let's see how ServiceNow can help. So what you are seeing right now is one of the ways to fulfill this requirement. Of course, there are many, depending on the maturity of your organization, of your processes, and the quality of data that you possess in your system. But yeah, let's take an assumption we are using asset contract management. So what you can see right now is I have a list of all my contracts which are supported by critical and important vendors, right? So there are there are plenty of them. And not only that, you can also differentiate the contracts by the type meaning whether it's maintenance, insurance, purchase agreement, and so on. If I can go deep or a little bit deeper, I can make my, let's say, contract model vendor type. So I can look at my maintenance contracts, which would be quite vital from keeping the operational resilience at some level. So I can do, for example, that's the one. Sorry. So I'm looking at maintenance contracts, and I can see there are there's one maintenance contract supported by one critical vendor, while there are two which are supported by an important vendor. Important vendor. That's how I categorize my vendors, right? So according to DORA, whether it's critical or important, that's my focus when it comes to contract management. So what else? If I'm the contract manager and I'm looking at DORA requirements, I probably want to have a look at or keep track of contracts which are about to expire, right? So end of this week, for example, as you can see, I have 4 contracts which are about to expire, and I can simply just go into the number 4 and see what those contracts are. If I dive a little bit deeper, so I can open one contract, and that's an example of a contract form in ServiceNow. Of course, it's signed with a vendor APC, which I previously marked as a critical vendor. That's why it's showing up in my list. So I'm not looking at all the vendors, just the vendors I categorized as criticals, right? What else do we have here? So we have business owner. We also have the start date, end date. We can add terms and conditions to a contract if we wish. But one of the features I would like to highlight is the connection. So Adam mentioned the CMDB part. Pavel also mentioned the connectivity and all the relationships. Well, here you can see this contract with a connection to the data which reside in your CMDB. So I have 4 CIs covered by this maintenance contract. And if I go do a preview, yeah, it's a Windows Server, for example, for SAP, which is covered by this contract. And I can see that the server is critical from the, of course, DORA's perspective. So that's quite a lot of information. We are aware that it's a pill of information that we can share with you. But yeah, the capabilities of ServiceNow in terms of fulfilling DORA requirements around contract and not only that are quite sophisticated, quite vast. And if you're on a ServiceNow, it's very easy to use that information. So with all that information in place, you can fulfill the DORA requirements and around contract management and reporting quite easily, I would say. So
yeah. I want to say, Chris, that this is the beauty of the platform, right? This connection between applications where CMDB is underneath. So you are showing to us the servers that are connected to this particular contract, but CMDB also will provide us information about our services, business services, technical services. We can have an information what business applications are connected to contract, right? Or for example, what application services are supported by a specific third party. So really good or important piece of information that we have a direct connection or visibility to.
Yeah, and that's a great summary of what it does. Yes, and we're still bearing in mind operational resilience, right? Via DORA to ServiceNow and ServiceNow capabilities. Yes, so guys, I'd say that's it. That's like I said, a knowledge quick pill around contract management in ServiceNow. Of course, one of the possibilities, right? There are many more, but that's one of the features depending on the maturity. So I'd say we can.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for that. Let's move on. The time flies. We have another part, third-party risk management. So Pavel, what capabilities ServiceNow platform offers in this domain? How does it look like?
Okay, so thank you again, Adam. When it comes to the third-party risk management, first things first, maybe let's discuss the requirements a little bit. Of course, there is a requirement to assess the risk posed by cooperation with the third party, which is supporting our critical infrastructure. So this is the main requirement of the DORA. But in the technical specifications for the DORA, we also have the information about some additional processes that needs to be covered. So, for example, remediation steps or due diligence process whenever we are onboarding or offboarding the vendor related to the risk exactly. So not only the contractual requirements and clauses, but also assessing the risk posed by specific vendor. Thankfully, ServiceNow has an application which is called Third-Party Risk Management, which covers all the DORA requirements, but also much more. So maybe let's first discuss the key functionality of the third-party risk management from the DORA. So of course, as the name suggests, then the key functionality would be assessing the risk for the third parties. And here, of course, we have multiple tools that would help the risk managers to perform their task efficiently. So whether this is on the stage of preparing risk questionnaires, assigning the specific weights to the questionnaires, whether this is a communication with the third party, and then taking the information from the third party, aggregating the results and showing us the score. Here, the ServiceNow can support it all, and this is a very powerful tool that can help you mitigate all those problems easier. But also, other than this, we have some other functionalities that are very interesting from our perspective. Issue tracking and remediation. So when it comes to the communication, we would be using easy-to-use third-party portal, a designated place where from our end, we are able to send the information to our vendors, things like risk assessment surveys, and also the vendor would be able to log into this portal to his own place and then communicate with our organization throughout this portal, fulfilling those requests. So this is how the risk assessment process might work, but also we can use the same portal for much more. So for example, issue tracking and remediation. This is one of the requirements of the DORA, that we need to be able to remediate any potential issues. And thanks to this third-party portal, we have direct communication with the people assigned to the task. So here we are not sending an email or calling somebody hoping that they will reply. Here we're able to communicate throughout the portal, and the information we send to this portal, whether it's risk assessment, whether it's a task to perform, will be visible on the partner's portal for them to easily find the task for them and fulfill it. So here we have this functionality. Of course, we have some workflows especially designed for onboarding, due diligence, renewal, and offboarding workflows. So there are special workflows which are also required by the DORA requirements whenever there are due diligence processes, whenever we are onboarding the vendor, offboarding the vendor, so we are ending the cooperation. There are requirements for this. ServiceNow already has the workflows and tools created for this process exactly. So here we are covered. Couple other functionalities when it comes to the third-party risk management, real-time reporting and dashboard. So this is once again a very strong feature of the ServiceNow, sharing of the information, reports. So even usually the third-party risk is information which is siloed, but thanks to the ServiceNow, we can not only connect it to the CMDB and give it some business meaning, but also we can share it amongst all the people who are interested in it. So then, but when creating the dashboards, we can very easily and quickly share this information. Of course, we have automation options, so we can schedule sending some of the risk assessment surveys to the vendors. We can use automation options to help us to calculate the score. So here we have a very powerful tool when it comes to the functionality of the third-party risk assessment. Yeah, and now let's focus on how we can fulfill the DORA requirements with the third-party risk management and the vendor management application. So third-party library, of course, we need to keep track of all the vendors we are working with. And so in this third-party libraries, we will be able not only to check the risk scores that are posed by the vendors, but also if we have the contract for the specific vendor, we can also connect to it. So we have all the information in one place. We don't have to search for it any place. Third-party request, once again, a great way to communicate with our vendor. We are using specialized portal, not sending an emails and hoping somebody will get them. Here we have we are able to even monitor the SLA if this is required. So here we have a portal that would help us communicate with our vendors efficiently. Of course, the main functionality, risk assessment, and here once again we have plenty of tools that would help you. First things first, create the risk assessment surveys, or if required, integrate with external sources and download them from external sources. Integrations are, of course, possible with ServiceNow. And then, of course, send those surveys to the vendors and automatically assess all the scores to give you the end number results. So here, this risk management, this risk assessment is a very simple process. Due diligence and contract approval, so functionalities which are directly required by the DORA and which are directly implemented into the ServiceNow. So here we can have a due diligence process which is directly regarding the DORA requirements when onboarding and offboarding the vendor, but also this functionality can be used at any given time. So the employee who notices that there is some potential issue with the vendor, can request such a due diligence process on his own, just to make sure that we are up to date with the latest information. And the third-party portal, so the application that we will be using to communicate with our vendors. So those are the main functionalities of the third-party risk management. But also, it's very important to point out that this is all happening within the ServiceNow environment. So once again, we have this connection with the CMDB. So this data, this information about the risk is now giving some more business meaning, and we know exactly what this risk might affect if some risk even happens. Performance analytics, reports, and dashboards. So once again, very strong functionalities of the ServiceNow as a platform, now mobile. So of course, we are able to communicate with the work on the ServiceNow with the mobile application, knowledge management, and of course, well, workflows and integration. So even if we want, we can even, thanks to the third-party portal, integrate our vendors into our internal workflow. So making sure that once, for example, a task is completed on our end, the next step will be on that side of the vendor. So here we have a lot of possibilities, not only to meet the DORA requirements, but also go beyond and start using the system to benefit us in other ways. Yes, so of course, also we are supporting this communication and this assessment on every single level. So whether this is an onboarding of the new party, retiring of a vendor, here we have the workflow for this, but also we are able to work on every single case and issue that happens in between. So whether this is determining, well, the risk, well, we need to perform the risk assessment. We are sending the risk assessment to the vendor. We are generating the first findings. We might find some issues during this. This is not a problem, since we are in the ServiceNow. We can very easily send the information back to our vendor. Please clarify this point. Please send us some additional information. Please attach the document that confirms what you said. So here we have, of course, functionalities to do this. And if we carry on, once we have everything assessed, we are able to share this information throughout plenty of the out-of-the-box reports or the reports that we want to build ourselves, monitor the performance of our vendors, and then repeat. So of course, this is a cycle, this is a process which we need to repeat once in a while, and then we have the tools which can automatically start this process once again whenever we schedule it. So here we have a very strong tool to not only manage this risk, score this risk and calculate it, but also communicate with the vendor and solve much more issues. And just to finish out, I would just like to point out that when it comes to this third-party risk management and the ServiceNow as a whole, here it's worth remembering that you can use those functionalities not only to meet the DORA requirements, but also you can use it to extend basically your business. Thanks to the ServiceNow, thanks to the all the data being in one single data model, we are able to include IT, security, customer service, HR processes for the whole process. So we, of course, can use the ServiceNow and the third-party risk management vendor portal to meet the DORA requirements, but also there's a lot of other functionalities that we can start enjoying once we clear the DORA requirements. So this will be all when it comes to this presentation. And now, once again, I will hand over the voice to Chris, who will show you a little bit more about the third-party risk management in the system itself. So Chris, the stage is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Pavel. So quite a good introduction into ServiceNow's capabilities. So again, we are looking at operational resilience of our company. That's our focus. By doing that, in order to do that, we focus on risk management, and even further, we focus on third-party risk management in the first place, and then we fulfill all the DORA requirements. So basically, third-party, as you know, risk management application allows you to identify, assess, and mitigate all the risk, right? It provides the central process for all the risk management around your vendor risk assessments. And what you are seeing right now is an example workspace for vendor management, where you can see there are total 87 vendors, which I should be focusing on when speaking about risks. I have also 33 engagements. So basically, an engagement is like the form or contracted relationship that you intend to form with a third party that could potentially expose your organization to risk. It basically outlines the services or products to be provided by the third party and other details of the relationships. And these details actually can include the terms of payment, confidentiality requirements, and so on. So let's have a look at the tool in more detail. So let's have a look at one of the third parties. Let me just go ahead and open the third party list. Okay, as I mentioned, I have 87 of them. I will look at Broadcom because that's the one I was about to present to you. So here is an example of a view I can have on one of the vendors. Broadcom, I as you can see, I assessed the risk of cooperation with that customer, with that vendor at a moderate level. But how did I do that? So basically, I did some initial interviews, so both internal and external ones. And what ServiceNow does is that it brings everyone to one basically platform. So there's no longer need to, hey, sending emails, for example. I want to start a new engagement or phone calls. As a user, if I'm the company employee and I say, okay, I want to start working with some vendor which might have some impact on risk for my organization. So I will go to employee center page, right? And I would create a ticket, a request basically, to start a third-party risk due diligence. Of course, there are many types of it, right? So you can many scenarios when I'm onboarding a new engagement, or I want to reassess the existing engagement because there are I see some potential risk, and so on and so forth. But here's where the process can start. So an end user fills out the form, and the engagement kind of request is recorded and can be viewed by the vendor manager. So let me just go back to the vendor, and I would have engagements. So engagements would be, for example, 1 second. Okay, an example, due diligence. So during that period, during that process, I of course do the inherent risk assessment, which will be more kind of initially internally, as I mentioned. But also, I would at some point I would say, okay, we don't have enough information around that vendor, and we need to ask some more questions. So what do? We would simply involve the vendor, but not via phone calls or emails. We would give them a portal that Pavel was mentioning. So as a vendor, I would have a dedicated portal I can log into and keep the communication here. So here you can see a portal for a vendor, and one of the vendors, I'm logged in as one of the vendors. And what I can see is that there are some assessments that the company I'm working with is requiring me to fulfill. There are some issues. There's one issue, and there are some tasks for me to do. Okay, so I'll go ahead and I'll just start with the assessments. So in order for the other company to run good, proper risk assessments, they need to ask some questions, right? around their third-party operations. So let me open up the assessment questionnaire. It's a questionnaire around Gen AI, all right? So, of course, a sample one. And basically, the third-party representatives, that's an example questions, but they simply answer questions. These questions can be, of course, created by you. That's an example. These can be simple, like yes or no answers. So closed questions, basically. But these questions, well, actually, answers to these questions will help you, your organization, to assess risk more precisely. So if I'm the third party, of course, I can fill out the form. If I don't know something, I can also, communicate here with my customer, right? So I will just type in anything here now. That's where the conversations are kept around this, of course, initiative and this questionnaire. And yeah, so that's an example of how the AI questionnaire can look like from the vendor's perspective. So of course, after I fulfill it, I just send it, right? And if I go back to my view for Broadcom, for example, I will have more information around that vendor, which will help me to reassess or basically start assessing the risk this company is posing on my operations. What else is worth noting here is that apart from the list of third parties I mentioned, total engagements, I also explained that briefly. I have a quick view of top risk areas around my organization. So I have some security risks, as you can see. Let me just enlarge. Okay, so I have some security risks, some environmental risks, but I'll be more looking into probably resiliency risks, right? So if I go into that, I can see 3 third parties that have impact on the risk level of my organization, right? Of course, if you dive deeper, that's the same story as I showed with the Broadcom, but that's a one-page stop for all my risk management around third parties. And again, that's just a brief introduction to what third-party management application can offer you. I would say that's let's stop here and let's get back to my colleagues.
Thank you for this, Chris. And again, we have a time pressure, right? So it's like a really high-level overview of what the platform offers. Hopefully, that is an interesting piece of information for you guys, and we are more than welcome, of course, to elaborate and have some more, precise or pointed discussion with you as it comes to this. We would like to summarize with the key takeaways, right? So this is what we would like you to take with you after this session. First of all, like we've said, contract management and third-party risk management are core requirements of DORA and can be facilitated by our platform really well. The second thing is that a robust data model and high-quality data are fundamental to meeting DORA requirements. And this is a point where CMDB should be taken into consideration. And the last one, well-defined vendor management plan or strategy is crucial for successful DORA compliance. So with this, before we will go to Q&A, I will allow myself for a bit of self-advertisement for those of you who doesn't know us. So we, Spock, are a ServiceNow elite partner dedicated to delivering technology workflows for better business outcomes. ServiceNow is the only technology that we deliver. We are focused only on it. We guarantee our customers strategic advice, process and technical consultancy to fully benefit from ServiceNow platform. We are headquartered in Poland with teams across CEE, UK, Belgium, Luxembourg. We provide process and technology advisory services, leveraging ServiceNow platform for more than 14 years, I believe, right now. So whenever you would like to have some additional discussions around DORA-related topic or other ServiceNow domains, we are more than happy to be engaged. Okay, guys, Q&A. As I can see some questions popping up. Some of them we've already answered through the chat, but Paul, you are asking about supply chain. So is there the information related to supply chain available from the contract perspective? I believe that was the question because it popped up while we were showcasing contracts. Yes, it is of course possible. There is even a dedicated extension in ServiceNow, which is called a Supply Chain Common, which basically provides a common data model for all of the supply chain applications that can be installed. So what I mean by this is ServiceNow has its own solution, but if you will explore the ServiceNow store web page, you will come across several supply chain dedicated applications built by ServiceNow vendors. You can utilize them, and then, of course, from contract perspective, you will be able to connect that information. And we also have a question regarding contracts. So interesting connection between contract and CIs, but how is this connection managed, created, and updated? So again, connection is native thanks to the data model that ServiceNow offers. The question of managing, creating, updating, basically this is the way you will set up those processes and ownership of these applications in ServiceNow, right? So CMDB has to be maintained. There need to be a process in place. There need to be an owner of application. You need to maintain this as a separate CMDB functionality, right? And as soon as you have it, the connection between contracts is open for you to be utilized. On the other hand, from the contract perspective, you need someone who basically will be in charge of allowing those information to be connected. That's as simple as this. The challenge is, of course, to manage CMDB properly, but we had many sessions, many webinars, many engagements when CMDB topic was explained. Guys, as the time flies, I believe Pavel, Chris, with the rest of the questions that popped up, we will get back offline with the emails, right? Or I don't know if you want to take something right now. Yeah, I believe that we extended the time. So guys, Pavel, Chris, thank you for driving this meeting. To our attendees, thank you very much for attendance. Hopefully you were able to get something from this presentation. Looking forward for your feedback, looking forward for further discussions. Have a great day today, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you.